Alrighty guys, in today's video we're going to be doing a valve adjustment on our 140 SSR. This valve adjustment is going to be the same procedure for basically any size Chinese bike and some of the actual Japanese bikes as well. It's very similar, but this is going to be mainly for your China bikes, anywhere from 70 to 170 in that CC range. We were doing the top end rebuild on this and we're just finishing it up. We might as well do the valves and do a video on it. So I know we'll get a lot of questions about doing this. So this will be a video designated to just doing that.
It's also similar on some four-wheelers too. You might just have to pull a valve cover off.
Yep. So you wouldn't have to have your cam cover off when you guys are doing this. It's just you'd want to have your valve adjustment caps, which you have an intake one here and the exhaust is straight on the bottom. You want to take those off. They look like this. It's got two 8mm bolts in it, and that's going to, you can show the valve adjusting lock nut and the actual adjuster itself. Oops. We're going to set the clearances to 3 on the intake, 3,000ths, and 5,000ths on the exhaust. Pretty standard for lots of different engines. That's just what we've been rolling with for a while, and it's always went good. Always just you can check them after so many hours and just make sure that they don't wear in or wear out. You know.
I believe some of the motors actually say on them what the valve clearance is.
Some of them might.
Some of them might.
But we're gonna go with 3 and 5.
That's a safe.
So what you're gonna do is make sure you're at top dead center compression stroke, not top dead center on the exhaust stroke. So you won't have to have this even off your stator cover. We just have it off because we were doing the rebuild and getting it in time. What I like to do when I'm doing a valve adjustment, I'll put it in the kickstand, is I'll take the spark plug out. I'll take something like a pick or a screwdriver, and if I can find the spark plug hole over here. Am I even close to it? Here we go. And I'll turn the engine over, which on these pit bikes it's counterclockwise. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm watching the valves. So right now the exhaust valve is opening, the piston's going down. Piston's coming back up now, and then it's going back down, opening the intake valve. Now, when this comes back up, that's where top dead center compression stroke is going to be. Piston's coming up, coming up. It's almost at the top of its travel, and right there. That's where it is. And you should have free play on both valves. A little bit, depending on how it was when you know, where it was
Previously.
when you took it off. You know, it could, if you have a lot of carbon buildup, you might have no clearance, you might have a lot of clearance. Right. So that's how I find top dead center compression stroke. A lot of people have different ways of doing it. That I know for sure is how, you know, it's accurate. I've done it numerous amounts of times, never had an issue. That way we can kind of leave it right about there. We have good clearance on both. And now we can take our 9mm. You're gonna need a 9mm wrench or socket. And all I do,
usually a socket's easier.
Yeah. So all I do is I take my 3,000ths, this is on the intake valve on top, put it in between the valve and the adjuster. And then I tighten this down until there's a slight drag on the feeler gauge. And you can almost do it by feel. When you guys do this enough, you'll know what 3,000ths feels like.
You might have to do
it does help. It does help when you take these and get a. They make bent feeler gauges, which may work a lot better in this particular example. It's right there. That's not bad. For clearance wise. It's feeling pretty good. So what I'll do then is I'll take my jam nut. And I'll take this, and it's going to maybe move a little bit on you, so I kind of like to hold the top, and I'll just get it snug. Alrighty guys, so I got this pretty close to where I want it. Here's my 3,000ths. It goes in there with slight resistance, a little bit of clatter, which is nice. Got it tightened up. Torque spec isn't really that much, probably like 65, 70 inch-pounds. I have a little 3/8 ratchet. I just kind of went with a couple fingers on it, pulled it. It was nice and snug. There's really no need to Hulk torque. Those are probably going to strip out. So
yeah. I had a pit bike that actually ran with no nut on the adjuster.
Right, so it just makes a hell of a lot of noise.
Yeah. So it can run with really loose valves.
Exactly.
Just saying, guys.
Now, guys, the exhaust is on the bottom. I gotta turn this one in quite a bit.
Let me get a flashlight on it. Can't really see that too good.
Turn this. We want 5 thousandths on this one.
Give you a good look at the intake here again.
Pretty close. Take our 5. I'm gonna try to.
The exhaust is a little hard to get the fuel gauge in.
Without a bent 45 angle feeler gauge, it's kind of difficult to get an accurate thing in there. So I just put the feeler gauge in, and I'm gonna tighten this up by hand until it gets snug, and then tighten the jam nut down once I can't turn it anymore by hand. I'll take a 9 socket and tighten it up. Take this, back it off a ways, tighten the top. Maybe a little bit much. And you want just light drag on it.
You can have a little more snug on the 5 thousandths on the exhaust.
So right there is about where I want it. And I take my ratchet and I tighten it up. And there it got a little bit tight. So sometimes what I have to do is I have to back this off a bit, and it'll compensate because it's going to turn the top a bit when you actually tighten it. So sometimes that occurs. So we're a little tight yet.
It's definitely a pretty tedious process, guys.
Yeah.
You're definitely not going to get it right first try most of the time.
No, not likely.
Stinky. Spunky monkey.
Sometimes what I have to do is I'll take my 9 wrench, then I can go over it. I'll back that up just a bit. And then I can hold the top with my hand, or a needle nose pliers works great. Alrighty guys, so we got the exhaust set at 5 thousandths. It's I'd say it's not a real snug 5, so it's good. That'll obviously wear, and you can always check it periodically, but it's going to be safe for now. And you actually hear
little chatter.
Clatter.
The intake should be less.
Very almost not noticeable.
Lot less noisy than the 5.
So what I like to do then is I like to kick it over or turn it over a few times.
Just to kind of get the valves to open up.
You can turn it over with the kicker if you want.
So this is nice if you have 2 people to kind of.
Yep. Good. And then we want to get it back up the top dead center again. So intake. Good. Right there. Right there. There we go.
Check the hole.
So check this. 3. And my bent 5. It's very tough to reach that in there. This has to be bent at a 90.
I don't even know how I did these with regular feeler gauges.
And that feels quite good. It's a good 5. And you'll hear the clatter. So we got clearance. So we are good. I just double checked to make sure they're snug. And that's basically it for a valve adjustment. Just like I said, I always want to do a top dead center compression stroke. You can see that I had it on the exhaust, and the exhaust valve had pressure on it because the lobe was still contacting it. So you have to go another revolution 180 degrees and you'll be at top dead center compression. So hopefully that clears up some confusion. I know a lot of guys had some questions about it. So hopefully this video, just seeing it being done in front of you will help. So that's the way I've been doing them for lawnmowers, bikes, quads, whatever, you know. They're all the same. 4 strokes of 4-stroke. They all do the same things.
Right.
So just making sure you figure out which way it rotates. If you do backwards, the strokes aren't going to line up.
The hard thing's adjusting the valves in 2-stroke.
Yeah, those 2-strokes, man, they got lots of valves. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, leave a comment if this worked for you. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.